Hello, welcome to our Red Tara Contemplation and Practice Group. Hope everybody's well tonight. We're contemplating Rinpoche's book, Change of Heart. We're currently on the chapter on loving kindness and rejoicing. So Rinpoche says, rejoicing means taking pleasure in others' good fortune. This doesn't have to be anything grand. If we see someone resting for a moment in a comfortable spot, drinking cool water, or enjoying the sun on their face, we rejoice in their happiness and wish that it might increase. We pray that by the power of our wishes, prayers, and pure heart, her happiness will grow unceasingly. Whether it is someone's moment in the sun, new clothes, a nice car, a winning lottery ticket, we are happy for them. We don't give in to envy, thinking, I wish I had a red car like that one. Nor are we resentful, wondering, why does she get to drive around in such a beautiful car? When we truly rejoice, we leave no room for jealousy, competitiveness, or self-centeredness. In fact, rejoicing in the happiness of others is the antidote to jealousy and envy. We rejoice not only when others are happy in the moment, but also when they plant seeds of future happiness. This increases the merit resulting from their virtuous act. We also rejoice when someone on the spiritual path prays, meditates, or creates virtue, and we should never do anything to interfere. Contemplating the impermanence of everything can help us develop this quality of rejoicing. We appreciate each passing day because we are still alive. Life is brief and can end at any moment. So again, we rejoice and use the time we have to produce the greatest benefit possible. Rejoicing is one of the swiftest ways to create virtue. Many sacred texts say that those who rejoice in others' virtue accumulate an equal amount of virtue. Similarly, we have to be careful not to rejoice in or wish for someone's misfortune or non-virtue. Otherwise, the same way, we will make the same amount of non-virtue. Once, a king invited the Buddha and his retinue for a midday meal. On that day, there were many beggars around, one of whom was a very rude little boy who showed up knowing that the food would be delicious and plentiful. He went to the tables begging even before the Buddha had been served. The guests shouted at him and, clapping their hands, ordered him to leave. Another boy watched patiently, letting the Buddha and his retinue eat their meal. When they were finished, he begged and was given more than he could eat. Extremely upset, the first boy vowed angrily, "If I ever become king, I won't let a day pass before I cut off the head of the Buddha and everyone in his retinue." Later, as he slept, he was run over by a chariot and, unfortunately, lost his life. The other boy, rejoicing in the king's great virtue, thought, "If I ever become a king, I will invite the Buddha and his retinue to a meal as sumptuous as this one." In the Buddhist tradition, the merit or positive energy of a virtuous act is dedicated on behalf of others, often first to one's sponsors, who made it possible to create the merit, then to one's parents, and finally to all beings. At the end of the meal, the Buddha asked the king, "Would you like me to dedicate the merit of this offering to the one who has earned the greatest virtue?" The king replied, "Certainly," assuming it would be he who had planned, hosted, and sponsored the entire event.
The Buddha saw, however, that the king's virtue was slightly tarnished by pride. By rejoicing in the king's offering, the boy had also created virtue. But because his was untainted, it was greater than the king's. To everyone's surprise, the Buddha dedicated the merit first to the boy, second to the king, and then to all other beings. The boy subsequently traveled to a neighboring country. He arrived late in the morning and stretched out under a tree to sleep. Due to the boy's virtue, though the sun followed its natural course, the tree's shadow did not cover him, protecting him as he slept. It turned out that this country had recently lost their king, and his subjects were seeking a replacement. They decided to choose the most virtuous person in the land. It was obvious to those who observed the boy sleeping in the tree shadow that he had great virtue. The boy was made king, and soon after offered a magnificent meal to the Buddha.